On the show tonight, pilot jets. We've got some tricks and tips for you from Roy Vanderveer. We also have the history of Mikuni carburetors from Jeff Kokoski. A 2002 Honda CR250, literally still in the crate. We've got MX history, the Moto Showcase, and a whole lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A.
I'm Jerry Maddox.
And I'm Ryder Maddox in sunny California.
And you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, hosted by Joe Abadi.
Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I am your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, be sure to share the show. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We've got some really great things coming up there, and you're going to be enjoying that in the very, very near future. All right, let's jump right into it. We've got the Moto Showcase. The Moto Showcase is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Be sure to visit them online at PrestonPettyProducts.com. Speaking of their new products, they've got IT fenders now in blue and Kawasaki green. Thank you, Paul Skinner, for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Ron Harvey, he is in the Moto Showcase tonight. Let's get a look at what Ron has sent us, and I'll read you a little bit about that, and we'll go through the slides, and here we go. He purchased this bike 2 years ago here in Houston. The bike was all together, but not running at the time. With the frame, he disassembled, and he had it blasted. The lower frame rails had a few small dents, and they were repaired. PPG DP90 white epoxy primer was applied over chalk white base coat clear coat. For the suspension, the swing arm was vapor blasted with a light polish on the box section and 320 grit horizontal etching to try and achieve the factory look. Triple clamps were vapor blasted with quadruple zero steel wool with a light bush to a semi-gloss finish. The rear shock body was also vapor blasted and treated with steel wool. Rear spring blasted and painted to correct color. The forks were lightly polished to remove any small scratches. In the engine case, well, the case's cylinder and head were vapor blasted with a light steel wool buff. Cylinder was bored. It's got a new crank, piston, seals, gaskets, bearings, all from Vmxq. Found an original pipe on eBay and had my late friend Dean Amison take the dents out. Bead blasted the pipe, applied PPG DP90 black epoxy primer. I know there are a lot of different high heat paints that are available, but we had no problems with peeling or discoloration, and the finish is exactly as it was originally. We've got a Pro Circuit 304 silencer, correct carburetor purchased from eBay. It was also vapor blasted and overhauled. It's got a nuclear red plastic UFO. It's got a plastic seat pan. The tank is reproduction from Vmxq. The seat foam and cover were replaced. Wheels and brakes, they are correct dated and coated rims. They were blasted. The nicks and scratches were repaired. It has a superfine bright aluminum applied to a semi-gloss clear. The rims originally polished, but there were scratches in. They were too deep to buff out. New spokes and nipples from Buchanan. New tires from Motorsport. Front and rear hubs were blasted and refinished. The hubs bearing seals were all replaced. The front and rear brake calipers were vapor blasted and rebuilt. Along the way, a lot of time and money was spent on researching the parts and getting OEM parts whenever possible. Honda still sells some correct bolts, sprockets, grips, levers, purchase cables, etc. Parts are being dropped more frequently by Honda, so sourcing parts is more difficult. Joe, thank you for featuring my bike on the show. I really enjoy the show every week. Well, Ron Harvey, thank you for sending us this beautiful bike in, and you did a beautiful job on it, and you remembered to mention Dean Amison, and we all know Dean. He was a great guy, and it was a shame he had passed away so early. So there you have it, Moto Showcase from Ron Harvey. We're back up here at the pictures, and we're going to get moving right on with the show. Oh, that's what I wanted to mention. I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, Arma, and everybody else you see on the board. And if you'd like to become a sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A, please get a hold of me for $250 a month. You can do that or for just $50 a month, you can become a show supporter. Get your name on the board, get a shirt, get an apron, a hat. We've got a couple of different things going on now. So for just $50, you get your name up on the board for 90 days, and you get some swag as well. In the Next Time Try This segment tonight, we're taking a look at something from Roy Vanderbuer. And Roy's been coming in with some great tips lately. And tonight, he's got something for you on pilot jets. Let's see what Roy has for us here tonight on Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Okay, before we get into today's video, I thought I would take a minute to point a couple things out. I'm going to get into talking about carburetor jetting. It is a long-term goal of mine to put a full video together on that topic. I know there are a lot of people that are very confused by it. It's a hard topic to understand, and it's an even harder topic to explain. But in this video, I've got something that I believe everybody's going to understand perfectly. And it involves setting your pilot jet, which is the place you start when it comes to jetting. If you were starting with a fresh carburetor and had to start from zero, the first thing that you want to get set is the pilot jet. From there, you can go to the needle. You can go to the slide, the needle, and the main nozzle. And then lastly, you would set the main jet. So listen up, because the tip I'm about to share only takes 59 seconds to explain. It's very simple. I think everybody's going to get it. I've never seen this talked about anywhere. It's not in any manual I've ever read. It's not in any performance book I've ever read. And it's not in any video I've ever seen on YouTube. I've never, ever heard anyone else discuss using this method to determine whether or not your pilot jet is in the right range. So enjoy the next 59 seconds, and then I'll be back with just a little bit more. Hello, Roy Vanderbuer here, and what I want to show you today is a dead giveaway that this two-stroke motorcycle's pilot jet is too rich. What we're looking at here, this black screw, is the idle screw. And you can see, and I'm going to try to come in close without blocking the light. Let's see if we can get in here a little better. That behind that screw head is a spring. And that spring is completely bottomed out, meaning that the slide is lifted as high as it can go in order for this bike to maintain an idle. So if you see that, you don't even have to start the bike. You don't have to ride it. You already know right away that the pilot jet is too rich. Okay, this is a different bike on a different day, but when you see the coil spring behind the idle screw with air gaps in between the coils like this, your pilot jet is probably in a good range. Doesn't mean you couldn't be off by 1 or 2 sizes in either direction. But when this thing is fully coil bound and that idle screws all the way in, pilot jet's too rich. There's no question about it. Okay, now that we've all seen that, I want to mention that if you get lean, if you're going leaner and leaner and leaner on your pilot jet, you can get down into the low numbers where eventually you just run out. I think Mikuni main jets stop at around a 10, and Kian's stop somewhere around a 25 or a 20. And if you still need leaner, then that would be an indicator that you need a leaner slide. So these are all just clues to get you pointed in the right direction. So when the idle screw is set too rich, as it is in a lot of the bikes that come through my shop, it invites a situation in which you can have both a lean condition and a rich condition at the same time. The bike will blubber like it's way too rich, and at the same time, when you roll off the throttle, it'll ping going into corners, which is a lean condition. And the reason that happens is because the pilot's too rich, and in order to make the bike idle, you lift the slide as high as it will go, which creates a huge vacuum leak right underneath the slide. So what you have to do is start working backwards and lean out your lean out your pilot jet. That will allow you to close the slide. By closing the slide, you're going to pull a stronger vacuum signal up out of the float ball. That will make a leaner in numbers jet flow more fuel while you're closing the door or the slide. So when you enter corners, the bike's not still trying to push you into the turn. It should just shut off. So there you have it. You'll never look at your idle screw the same way again. And as I build my library on jetting tips, I do have another fantastic technique on determining if your pilot jet is too rich. But unfortunately, I don't have the right bike to demonstrate that on at this time. The bikes that I was working on this week all have counterbalanced motors, and I need something with no counterbalancer. So when that opportunity comes up, I'll shoot that video too, and I'll be back at you with that.
Great information from Roy Vander, no question about that on the pilot jet and what you should look for. And maybe you want to go look for that on your own bike right now and see where you're all at with your pilot jet. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Hi, I'm Marty Tribes. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Crap. Piece of crap.
Thank you, Gordon McCaffrey, for being a sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A. You can get McCaffrey work stands at, well, here's the phone number on the screen, 315-729-8415. Gordon, of course, is on Facebook as well. I've got a couple of his stands. I've had them for over 20 years now. Nobody builds a better stand than Gordon McCaffrey. It's trivia time. That's right. It's trivia. It is a call-in contest. We still have a couple of posters left from Mike McCook and Motorcyclist Illustrated, the 18 by 24 poster of Tony D and Jimmy Weiner. This is a call-in contest only, 925-784-2195. That's 925-784-2195. I don't have a picture. I don't have a question up, but I'm going to ask you directly. I want you to name the oldest motorcycle club with a track in the country. The oldest motorcycle club in the country that still has a running track today. Okay? 925-784-2195. The oldest motorcycle club in the country with a track. Okay? Susie's standing by. In the meantime, it's time for Dave's Classic Corner. Dave Boydston, of course, a big supporter here of us at Vintage Motocross Q&A, AMSRacing.com. The best thing you could do, though, is follow Dave Boydston on Facebook. He's got a lot of great videos. He's always got some swap meet, or he's got some great videos of what he's doing around his shop. And he has sent us something today. In fact, he just made it today. Okay? He sent it to me just this afternoon. Let's get a look at it.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Boydston from AMS Racing. Needed to get a video for my buddy Joe. And I said, I don't know if I've done one on my race bike that I built. But 2.5 Januaries ago, I turned 70 and I was going to race an Arma and I was going to chase 70 plus title, but I'd been rear-ended a year or so before that, got whiplash real bad, which I'm still jacked with today. And this bike's only been through a couple of heat cycles. It's a matching numbered frame roller that I picked up at Havasu and was surprised it still had stock ignition in it. Then the frame was modified, but exactly like a 74.5 Mako, which I just bought a racer, and it had these shocks custom made on it from Works for 4 inches of travel. So I just took those and put those on this. I had to sacrifice 2 pipes and make one to get it to curve around the shock and the forward mounted. The rear wheel assembly is a brand new NOS 1975 wheel assembly. I had that for almost 10 years. The cylinder is NOS, about 10 years for that too. And the fork tubes also NOS. So I collected some stuff for a while. I bought a few 250 and 360 ASBs. And along the way, this paint job was on one of the bikes. I think it's a paint job that never really existed, because if you just painted the bike silver, it would look correct. But this thing runs good. Can't say it runs strong, so I only fired it up in the backyard. But new from front to back, matching numbered 250A YZ with a 74.5 style. You can see how the shocks are laid. They're perfect angle, man. Nice job of putting them in, cutting the original pieces out, then moving them, modifying them, and then welding them back in the frame. They did a really good job with that. New carburetor, new cylinder, new. Geomax matching tires front and back. All the little dished hardware it should have, and this was going to be my weapon. Matching number 250A, AMS Racing. See you later. Thanks. Bye.
All right, Dave Boynton surprised me today with that YZ250A. No calls yet on what is the oldest motorcycle club in the, actually there were a couple of calls. What is the oldest motorcycle club in the country with a track that is still running today? The oldest motorcycle club in the country that has a track, and they're still racing there today. It is in Hangtown, guys. Okay, so keep thinking, because I think we got a couple of those. Okay, so we will get to that when somebody calls in. In the meantime, the What's It Worth segment is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Be sure to visit them online at fullcircleracing.limited.com. We've got something very, very special coming up here in the What's It Worth segment. And it's not something you see every day. You hear about them, but you don't see it too often. And we've got a bike that's still in the crate. Okay, so check this out, and I'll read to you all about what's happening here. Got a 2002 Honda CR250 that was delivered new to Dutro's Honda Sales and Service in Frederick, Maryland. It's said to have remained in its factory crate through the seller's acquisition in 2024. It is finished in red and white and is all equipped with a liquid-cooled 249cc two-stroke single, mated to a 5-speed transmission. Features include a kickstarter, electronic ignition, an expansion chamber, electronic power valve, cross brace handlebars, a shower suspension, a ProLink swing arm and linkage. A 250CR is offered by the selling dealer with an owner's manual, a front number plate, a period warranty document, parts and manufacturer's certificate of origin. 21-inch wheel up front, 19 out back, mounted to Dunlop Sport tires. It's got braking discs front and rear. Suspension has, of course, the inverted shower cartridge forks up front. The sale included a manufacturer's certificate of origin and an owner's manual and the original front number plate still in a bag. It's got the period correct warranty information with it. The bike does not have a title. It is being offered with its certificate of origin. And the selling dealer will assist the buyer with registering the bike or getting the title. Now, as you saw in the video, there is a, well, they call it an MSO or an MCO. That's before the title. That's what the dealer gets from the factory. So you saw the video, you saw the close-up. What do you think this bike recently sold for? $8,000? $12,000? You think somebody really dug deep and went for $15,000 on this bike? The actual sale price was $23,583. $23,583. I want to say one thing. It is a two-stroke. It is in the crate. If it were an '07, which I think, and don't quote me, but I believe is the last year of the two-stroke. I mean, either way, you don't see a bike like that in the crate every day. It is 24 years old, and there it is at $23,583. All right, we will check the comments, and we'll find out who got closest. I see 10.5, 19.5, 14.5, 21.5. Doug Nemeth.
Wasn't there another one for 20
18,000. Look, we're going to take a commercial break. We will be back, and then we'll find out a little bit more as Susie goes down the line, and maybe we also find out who our trivia winner is tonight. We'll be back in just a few minutes. After this commercial break, we'll hear from Full Circle Racing, and then we'll be back with more vintage motocross Q&A.
Okay. I'm Barry Higgins. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
All right, so from what I could see up on the up in the comment section, from what I could see, it looks like Doug Nemeth came closest, and I'll show you the comment right now. He was there at 21.5, I think. Let me just I want to just go down this list one more time, just to make sure. 18,000, Brian Webley, 12,850. It looks like Doug Nemeth at 21,500. Doug Nemeth at 21,500 got closest without going over. And there were some other ones that were up there, 14.5, 19,000. But it looks like Doug Nemeth is on the money tonight. And Suze, I'm going to put you on camera here for a second. What do you got there for the What's It Worth segment tonight? What are you going to give, a hat or you got a couple of different things
I have
here.
an indoor hat if they want.
Right.
I had that mud scraper.
Mhm.
If you want, and I have the water.
All right, Doug Nemeth.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Doug Nemeth, you get a hold of me, you let me know what you want, a water bottle, a mud scraper, or an AMSOIL hat. We will get that off to you. Thank you for playing along at Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Oh my gosh, Tyler McGregor was $50 off.
Tyler McGregor was $50 off?
No, for Vince. Yeah, Doug Nemeth.
All right.
21.
I want to thank Russell Waters and AMSOIL for being a longtime supporter of the show. And now there's 25% off all AMSOIL products. And boy, they have a lot of them. Look at that shelf, just full of them, okay? Go to www.theoilpeople.shopamsoil.com, www.theoilpeople.shopamsoil.com, and you get 25% off, just about dealer cost or free shipping, one or the other, okay? Theoilpeople.shopamsoil.com. Hey, Jeff Kokoski, look, I got your slide back up there. It's got you over there on that bike, popping a wheelie, giving a thumbs up, looking very professional. We've got a really good segment tonight, as always, from Jeff Kokoski in the Did You Know segment. And tonight, it's Did You Know about the history of Mikuni carburetors. Anyone that grew up in the 70s or the 80s and worked on a carburetor, Japanese dirt bike, are probably familiar with the Mikuni or Kian brands of carburetors. This week, we will highlight the oldest of the two. So did you know how Mikuni Corporation got its start? On September 1st, 1923, a magnitude 8.0 earthquake struck the relatively flat Kanto plain on the main Japanese island near the city of Tokyo. The earthquake devastated Tokyo and the nearby port city of Yokohama, killing over 100,000 people and leaving 2.5 million Japanese citizens homeless. In the aftermath, the Japanese government declared martial law, undertook an extensive relief and restoration efforts. The earthquake prompted ambitious plans for the reconstruction of Tokyo, aiming to create a modern, resilient imperial capital. Within a month of the earthquake, local businessman Masakazu Ikuta established Mikuni Shoten, a limited partnership company with the spirit of rebuilding Japan. The business began by importing bicycle parts for basic transportation and transitioned into the importing of engine parts in anticipation of the arrival of the age of the automobile. In less than 10 years, Mikuni went from an importer to a producer when they acquired a manufacturing license from Amel Carburetors in the United Kingdom, thus starting their journey in becoming a world leader in carburetor technology. Throughout the 1930s, Mikuni supplied engine components to the growing Japanese economy due to the buildup prior to World War II. After the war, while under occupation of the victorious Allied forces, Japan's military economy was severely limited, so Mikuni shifted focus to commercial products like carburetors for motorcycles and automobiles and mechanical pumps. By 1960, Mikuni began to supply carburetors to the French company Solex. Dirt bike guys may not recognize the name, but until the mid-80s, Solex provided Mikuni-built carburetors to some of Europe's largest auto manufacturers. Solex brand Mikuni carburetors can be found on BMWs, Audis, Porsches, Volkswagens, Mercedes, Saabs, Volvos, Renaults, Opels, Fiats, Alfa Romeos, even Rolls-Royce. During that period, Mikuni also was supplying carburetors to domestic Japanese car motorcycle manufacturers like Toyota, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Mitsubishi. Very, very interesting, Roy. No question about that. By the late 60s, or late 80s rather, fuel injection began to overtake carburetors as the preferred method for putting fuel into car engines. Fortunately for Mikuni, the company had already begun to diversify their focus in the 1970s. They had a relationship with developing gas burner safety devices and injection systems as well. There's that carburetor we were talking about a little bit earlier that you may find on some of the cars. Now, the company had already begun to diversify and focus in the 1970s, and their relationship began, of course, with the cars and with other things that burned fuel as well. Roy or Jeff mentioned a moment ago, there were some gas burner safety devices that they made, and here is a picture of one of those. This no doubt led to the work with Nippon, Mitsubishi, and Robert Bosch to make fuel injectors starting in the late 1980s. Today, almost 85% of Mikuni's business still focuses on automobile, motorcycle, and marine components like throttle bodies, intake manifolds, sensors, valve systems, and pumps. Another 6% of their business supports the gas burner industry, while the remaining percentage of their products goes toward the aerospace industry, turf care equipment, and devices to assist drivers with physical disabilities. Mikuni has 36 business locations in 11 countries around the globe, employs 6,000 people throughout the world, has net sales annually of $650 million, and is still run by Ikuta family. In Japan, the Mikuni carburetor is known as Monozukuri Company. Monozukuri is the Japanese term to describe the process of creating superior products through pride of workmanship, manufacturing, excellence, and continuous improvement. Well, there you have it. There it is, the Mikuni carburetor, brought to us by Jeff Kikoski in another great Did You Know segment. Jeff, thanks so much for supporting us here and sending us those Did You Know segments every week. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
I'm Pat Maroney, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and we'll be right back.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Be sure to visit them online. Get yourself some swag at the internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. And don't forget, between now and when the museum opens, you could get about as close as you're ever going to get to those motorcycles. The International Motocross Museum is now on YouTube. The numbers are staggering in the amount of people that are watching these videos. So thank you, Terry Good, for getting us a little bit closer to the International Motocross Museum. In the Ever Heard Of segment, we've got something really interesting for you tonight. You ever heard of a Yankee motorcycle? Of course you have. You've heard of Yankee motorcycles, and you've probably even seen a few in your time. But I've got a nice little slideshow put together here, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. The Yankee motorcycle is a motorcycle which was produced in Schenectady, New York, at the Yankee Motor Company in the 1970s. The company was started by John Taylor, a longtime resident in that area. The motorcycle used an air-cooled two-stroke engine designed by Eduardo Giro that was produced by the OSA firm in Barcelona. The engine was a unique combination of two OSA cylinders that produced a twin-cylinder engine of near 500 cc capacity. The Yankee frame design helped from Dick Mann, and running gear was produced in the U.S., and the entire motorcycle was assembled at the Yankee plant on Campbell Avenue in Schenectady. Dick Mann designed that large tube frame for the 500Z. Dick's also built some dirt track frames for OSA, which were marketed under the DMR brand. Barry Higgins was the test rider, but there were only two Yankee 460 MX prototypes built. If one of only two sounds good to you, the 72 Yankee 460 should whet your appetite. Sadly, only two were completed. I think we do have a little bit more here. The slideshow ran a little bit short. So you know what? I'm going to run it again. The motocross bikes that were built by the Yankee Motor Company in Schenectady, I did mention that they had an OSA power plant. The Swiss engine had many modern features, including a twin ignition spark plug. So if you want to see some of these bikes and get a real nice up-close look at them, if you ever go to the Broom Factory in Maryland, it's just outside of Baltimore. I've been there. Thank you, Bill Naselrod. But if you do take an interest in OSAs, there's a really, really nice display. There's just about a whole room that's dedicated to that at the Broom Factory just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Okay? Just about that time. We've got announcements, and they're coming up right now. You know, I've been telling you about these shirts for $24.95 all the way up to XXX. They come in yellow, black, and white, and gray. But you know what? We hired some models. Check this out. If you buy this yellow shirt, you'll look just like this guy right here. Look at him. The guy's shredded. You'll look like that, too, for just $24.95. And if you want the cartoon shirt that was created by the legendary Kurt Evan, well, you can get one of those. And for the ladies, you'll look adorable in them as well. You can get them in gray. You can get them in pink if you like. Okay? $24.95. I'm going to give you the QR code in just a second. And maybe a hat to keep the sun off that delicate skin at the track. Hats are $22. Shipping included. Here's the QR code. You can pay with Venmo, Zelle, or if you want me to see the money and Sue not to see it, you can PayPal me at joemoto43@gmail.com. I'm just going to leave that up there for a second. If you want to take a screenshot, you'll have our QR code for Venmo, Zelle, and of course my PayPal, joemoto43@gmail.com. All right? All right, moving on. We're getting close to the CZ race, just a couple of weeks away. It is a 3-day event. It begins on April 24th. There's a bike show, there's a race, there's a class for just about everybody who will attend that event. People come from all over the world for the CZ race. Well, I'm thinking about it, Sue.
Yeah.
Any calls on the trivia yet?
No. We had a lot of people who was
Hangtown. I know.
And somebody else said Pagoda. What's Pagoda?
Nope, it is not Pagoda. It is not Hangtown. And I'll give you, it's not really a hint, but I can tell you this. The Trailblazers in Southern California is a motorcycle club, and they have been around since 1940. They do not have a track. A lot of people, and they're right, it is the oldest motorcycle club in the country, but I'm looking for the oldest motorcycle club with a track that's still running today. Okay? Let's get on with the announcements.
No, well, you have the appreciation.
Oh, we have your appreciation. We'll get to that in a minute. Debbie Burnworth, hard at work with Scott's memory. The Scott Burnworth Carlsbad MX reunion happens on Sunday, May 31st. That happens at the Bruise Brothers. Okay, that's down in Vista, California, down in San Diego. There's a bike show. There's bench racing. There's good food down there, and it's always a great time. And Ricky Johnson usually shows up. I've seen Donnie Hanson, Roger DeCosta there. A lot of great people, a really great time. And that, of course, is something that Scott Burnworth put together. And don't forget, get your bikes ready. June 14th, you got the first round at Verona Oaks in Southern California. Nobody has got the trivia yet. Let's do this. Let's do the viewer appreciation, okay? And then I'm going to come back with an announcement that has something to do with trivia, because I can't hold off any longer. So, Suze,
Yeah.
tell us what we have for the viewer appreciation prize tonight.
What do we have? Well, like the what's it worth segment. You
Yeah.
can choose from the names or have
Right.
a mud scraper
Right?
or the winner.
Okay, so who is the
The winner tonight is Robert Fish, otherwise known as Racer Fish.
Racerfish? Yeah.
YZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Fish, you are tonight's winner of the Viewer Appreciation Prize. You have your choice of an AMSOIL hat, a Motion Pro water bottle, a mud scraper, and you're up there in the Northwest, so you might use it for maybe snow or ice at some time as well. All right, Robert Fish, congratulations. You are tonight's winner. Now, the oldest motorcycle group in the country that still has a track, okay? The Owyhee Motorcycle Club. They are on Facebook, okay? That is the oldest group in the country. They got started in 1935. 1935, and I'll tell you why I had to kind of not give it away, but I had to say something. Because their race, the Inter-Am Vintage Race, that is a huge hit every year. People from all over the country go to attend to that. Sadly, that race is canceled. That was supposed to be this weekend. The track is underwater. They will reschedule that race at a date to be announced. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So that's who it is. It sounds like it's like Hawaii, but with the even a softer H. There is no H. Hawaii Motorcycle Club. And I also want to reach out one more time because I tripped over my tongue last week. Last week's trivia, Roy Vanderveer sent it in, and he asked what was the last 250 two-stroke to pull a hole shot in the 450 class. This was when the four strokes were coming on board. Somebody got the answer right, and they said Jeremy McGrath. But there's more to it than that, and Roy worked really hard on this question, and, you know, I want to give him props. The answer was, of course, Jeremy McGrath in 2006. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. It was just over 20 years ago on January 14th. There was a split start in which half the riders had a right and the other half had left turns and then come in back onto the main course. Honda had been very busy developing the 450, had turned all the two-stroke development over to Mitch Payton at Pro Circuit. He, by this time, had that bike dialed in extremely well, but it was the last hole shot, hurrah, for the two-strokes in Supercross. The race ended with the win going to Ricky Carmichael, then Chad Reed, then James Stewart, and our hero Jeremy coming in fourth overall with a 1-3 on all four strokes. This marked a significant and poignant place in the history where the guard was changing at several levels. By default, Roy says, I feel this makes Jeremy the youngest of the old school as master of Supercross on a two-stroke. I don't think anybody would argue with you, Roy, and my apologies last week. Somebody did call in. I knew the answer was Jeremy McGrath, and I kind of fumbled a bit, and I didn't get all that great information, which I didn't know about, and probably a lot of others didn't know either, about Mitch Payton taking over the helm there for Honda and giving Jeremy one heck of a bite. Okay? One last commercial break, and then we will be back here at Vintage Motocross Q&A to wrap it up.
Hello, this is Donnie Hansen. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. It carries the #1 plate in the US. Let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. Seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike and stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175, and this is a real trick aluminum Kickstarter arm. So that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else.
All right, Paul Parkinson Sr. and ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by RacerX. Be sure to visit them online. And on this very day in moto history, it was 1984, 16-year-old prodigy David Stribos becomes the youngest Grand Prix winner ever when he won the Dutch 125cc GP in Stevensbeek, riding a Venco Honda CR125. Stribos split moto wins with another Dutch rider, the veteran Kees van der Ven, who was riding a KTM at the time. 1989, Team Kawasaki's Ron Lachine won the first night of the Pontiac Silverdome doubleheader over Team Honda's Guy Cooper and his Kawasaki teammate Jeff Ward. Michigan's own Jeff Stanton, the series points leader, only managed the 6th after an early crash. For the winner, Ron Lachine, this would mark his 8th and final AMA Supercross win as a professional. The year 2000, the Superdome in New Orleans is back on the AMA schedule, and the winner of the 250 main event was French Yamaha rider David Vuillemin, fellow rider, Yamaha rider, and soon-to-be 7-time AMA Supercross champion Jeremy McGrath was second, followed by local favorite Kevin Windham of Team Honda. Kawasaki's Ricky Carmichael notched a 4th that night. That wraps it up for Vintage Motocross Q&A on this night. I hope you liked our new little video format that we were using in the What's It Worth segment, and a couple of other segments too. And the Did You Know segment with Jeff Kokoski, always great. And yeah, it's all going pretty smoothly here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Congratulations to Robert Fish and to Doug Nemeth, tonight's winners. Okay? You want to see if he wants to come in here? I think he got a haircut. He's a little self-conscious. Come on, Gene. I got to wrap it up. That's it for Vintage Moto. Come on, Gene. Come on, Gina.
Go away there. Go.
Come on, Gina. Come on. Come on. He can't make it. Too much macaroni for this guy. All right. We will see you next time on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thanks for watching.